Yo, yo. 24 hours late, but I'm here waiting on our buddy Dean, who should be on very shortly. Turns out I picked the wrong day. I didn't even know that the live stream went live yesterday until about 8:30. Then I realized, hey, you know what? We messed up. I say we, I mean me. So we are live today. Dean will be on shortly. What's up? Yeah, man. I definitely screwed that one up because I was actually live on Whatnot yesterday. Maybe that's why I messed it up. So I just picked the 6th for whatever reason. When it makes you pick it, you don't pick like Wednesday, Thursday, whatever. You pick the date. So how many of you waited for the whole 24 hours? Did you stay through the 1 hour stream? The stream didn't start though, right? It never did start. I don't think it could start unless you push start on here. What's up, Bobby, Franco, Logan, Cassie, or Casey, as we like to call her? Jester, what's happening? Yeah, I didn't think it went live. So, what's up, Swizz? What's everyone up to tonight? Been waiting since yesterday, man. You were truly a G then. Oh. All right, well, we wait on Dean. Let's just start with the topic. Team one man show. Team one man show. So should I spoil it, Andy? Should we say? I don't know if you've said yet, so let me know if you want me to say. Yeah, let's just get straight into the topic. Oh, hey, there we go.
Hey.
I bet you guys didn't know there was a door to the right.
No.
There's a door to the right in that studio.
Yeah, there you go. Door.
What's up, man?
The usual, fun and or excitement.
Yeah.
Just trying to trying to do something.
Par for the course, because did you realize that I actually done the show to go live yesterday on accident?
Yeah, it's funny because I was like, wow, he did these like really early.
Yeah.
And then I was like, everything I've been doing has been so like crazy anyways. So I figured, yeah, he'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, I figured it out after the first show and into the second one.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I was like, because it makes you pick by day.
Right.
You can't pick like Wednesday, Thursday, or whatever. You have to pick the actual date. And for whatever reason, I just clicked on the 6th thinking that Thursday was the 6th. So
yeah, I was off a day. I think every day because like it was the 4th and I thought it was the 5th. So naturally, when the 5th came, I thought it was the 6th. And then I was like looking at the thing. I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, I knew it was like Thursday or Wednesday or whatever, just because tomorrow I'm gone. So I was like, yeah, I know what day it is, but I don't the date. Yeah, forget it. Not gonna happen. So what's going on?
hey, we're here, man. So I was just starting with the topic. I just wanted to throw everybody off.
What should you spend the most on in car audio? It's funny because it's funny that this is the topic because this week has been interesting and it really reflects on that topic. To start with, I had a customer come in with a brand new Bronco, and they had paid someone to put speakers in it, and it sounded terrible. And Paul came over and got me and was like, "Hey, these guys want to talk to you about their Bronco." And I was like, "Oh, okay, what?" Because there's two type of Bronco owners. There's cheap ass Bronco owners that don't want to spend any money, and there's the other Bronco owners that realize their shit costs money, and they're like ready to spend. This guy was the first. And so he had bought a bunch of CS kicker speakers for his Bronco.
Right.
He thought he could just throw them in there and then everything would sound great. And that wasn't the case at all. It actually sounded quite terrible. And he had like a million questions as to why it sounded terrible, and it was like, come to find out, the last system he'd ever done in a car was like early 2000s. And he had a Toyota Corolla, and he put new speakers in it. And it was like, yeah, I could put new speakers in. I did them myself, and it sounded fantastic. And I go, yeah, it was a 2000 Toyota Corolla. Oddly enough, it's 23 years later. Things are a little bit different. Go figure,
No kidding.
and yeah. So he was like, I really wish I had the bass from these that my factory ones had. And I was like, okay, well, you should put the factory ones back in then, and you'll have that back. Oh, well, the guy that put them in cut them all to pieces to
Oh
take
god.
the speaker terminal off of it. I go, that's a $15 part. Why would you do that? Like, you don't destroy the speaker for, like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like, so at the end of the conversation, once he realized what he'd done, he was like, I think I'm gonna go online and see if I can find a set of the factory speakers to put back in here. And I go, yeah, that would probably be a good idea, because the $180 you spent on the 6 speakers you have ain't gonna do it for you.
Right. Yeah, he was just wanting to fake straight up factory swap and
Well,
thought he
that's
was gonna upgrade it.
that's the problem with like, now that there's no more salespeople out there, there's the internet,
Yeah.
and the internet is unfortunately filled with people that don't necessarily know what they're doing. And what I find humorous is that, he's like, but everyone says these things sound great. And I go, okay, have you asked any of them what it is that they've heard that sounds great that they're comparing these to? Because if
Right.
they have a sound bar on their TV, they do not understand what sounds great means. And if they're using Beats by Dre headphones, walk away.
How
Walk
dare
away.
you shame beats and
Okay.
sound bars.
I mean, there's some nice sounding sound bars. There's no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, most of them are crap, right? Unless you're spending 2 or 3 thousand bucks on a sound bar. The Walmart sound bar hi-fi is
Mm,
is really not.
exactly what I got.
Exactly.
I could care less about my home stereo.
Right.
I never listened to it.
Yeah. And there again,
Yeah.
but when somebody says, wow, that sounds amazing, go, what are we comparing it to?
Yeah.
What else have you heard that sounded amazing? If he goes, oh, I heard some Grand Utopias a couple years back, and those things were simply breathtaking, then I go, okay, all right, you've heard something that sounds good. Yeah, exactly, Fro. Some Jensen coaxials in the back deck of my 1978, Buick Cutlass Supreme, or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah. And I mean, in the right circumstance, you could get those speakers to sound pretty good. But when you're putting it just on your factory radio, they're not as efficient as the speakers that go in there. Probably
Bigger
30.
magnets mean less bass without, with you need more power. Um, they didn't properly install them, so there was gaps in the speakers. It was just bad. It was just bad.
Right.
You know. And then the second thing that happened this week, just to get him out of the way, was the guy calls me and says, "Hey man, I got one of those F-150s y'all did with the Unleash system in it." For those of you that didn't watch Monday's video, the Unleash system has 14 speakers, headrest, overhead, three-way up front, rugby. I mean, this thing is jammed packed full of fun and excitement. Um, and it sounds terrible, but it's a three-way set up front, at least coaxials for the rear. You need 8 channels of DSP. Powered DSP is the best way to do it. Some form of subwoofer, so you need a sub amp. And how much is the average price of zero gauge per foot right now?
Yeah. It's like $7, $8
Yeah, and you need
for the
2
cheap
runs
stuff.
of it, and we
Yeah.
use 20 feet per run, so that's 40 feet of zero gauge wire.
That's a
Just
chunk of change.
just wire.
Yeah.
The guy goes, "What's the average price that?" He goes, "I seen your video," and I'm thinking he's seen my F-150 video for the Unleashed. Okay, well, he's like, "What's the average price for something like that? Go for it." And I said, "It's between $8,000 and $12,000." He goes, "Wait, I think I heard you wrong. Did you say between $8,000 and $12,000?" And I go, "Yeah, yeah." And he was like, "Oh." I'm like, "Dude, listen, hell, just the wire, just wire. Before we even start on this, you got $1,000 in wire, you know?" And it's like, "Oh." It's kind of like when you hear those commercials for LASIK eye surgery and they're like, they're going to take 9 to $100 off an eye. And you're like, wow, they're taking a lot off per eye. What is that going to leave me like $200 per eye? No, man.
Yeah.
And then, so that guy was like, all right, well, I think I'm gonna have to come in and talk to you and figure this out. And I was like, cool. And then the third one that was just uncomfortable this week was a guy came in. We had put a radio, a 7-inch touchscreen in his dash, and it was one of the Kendalls with the CD player. And he's like, the screen is too small. I want the bigger screen. So Paul's like, yeah, no problem. So, we swapped the radios, put the new one in, big floating screen Kenwood. It's like a $600 price difference. And the guy goes, what? He goes, yeah, it's $600 difference. He goes, but it doesn't have a CD player. He goes, right. I thought I'd be getting money back. At that point, I got up and left because
Yeah.
I gotta leave. I can't
Not
deal
even
with
get his
that.
money back. Yeah. Nothing has a CD player anymore. Unless you specifically track down one that does.
Floating screens don't have CD players, man.
No. Yeah.
Yeah,
It would be a double din or
yeah. But
yeah.
he thought that us taking out a 7-inch CD player, CD DVD player, and putting in a 10.1-inch or whatever the hell it is, floating screen, high res, like he was going to get
What's
money
that game?
back. And
Yeah. You
it's
get
like,
a refund
dude,
on
I mean, wow. But
it.
the moral to all of this is when you see something in in a video or in you need to really do more research than whatever the Bronco forum groups are telling you. Maybe get out and read some other stuff. And B, if you see a video that has some really cool stuff in it, maybe get some of the model numbers or type in the brand or something like that, kind of get an idea what some of this stuff goes for, you know. That way
Right.
you're not like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, I mean, I got sticker shock myself. So I have like 4 fillings up front here that are about 15 years old.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going in Monday to get them redone, and they confirm the appointment. They're through text, confirm it, and they're like, "Would you like to know how much your portion of the bill is?" And they it was $540. So I'm thinking, like, is insurance paying anything? You're just like redoing some fillings.
No.
So I gotta call and see. I don't know if they got me scheduled for something else or what, but
Oh no, that's about right.
yeah,
That's
that's
about
ridiculous.
right. Because I had to have last year, I had to have a couple of my older ones redone too, because
Yeah,
I was having some inner ear problems. And oh yeah, man. Just what are you gonna do? You know?
yeah. I mean, you gotta pay it. It doesn't matter
Yeah. A
right or
dentist
wrong.
office, fortunately, a lot of the dentist office have turned into timeshare people.
You ain't lying, man.
It's like, "Oh, we found a hint of a cavity, we need to fill that." "No, you don't." "Oh, yeah, we really can't." "Oh, you should really get this." I have a really great dentist now that I really like.
Yeah,
He's awesome. Like, we know him from soccer. He's awesome dude. Um, and I go to him because his office is like they treat you like a human.
yeah,
But I was going to a dentist and I was like, it got sold to another company, and like that first trip in, man, my hygienist is gone. The one I've been going to for 10 years, she's gone, and this new chick's there, and dude, they got all the crap. Like I'm going to a freaking candle show at some chick's house, and hey, today we're gonna be showing you the new candles we have, and it's like, I don't want any of that shit, man. Just clean my teeth. I can't trust you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I had a dentist that I went to for years. Same way, loved that dentist. He ended up retiring, got bought out, and I switched to another dentist that I didn't really care for. Now we're back to the place that got bought out, but it's different dentist. They seem pretty cool though, so we'll
Yeah.
see how it goes. I'm just gonna have to pay. It doesn't matter what it costs. I have to pay.
So back to the original question. So we'll get back on track. What should you spend the most on in car audio? What does that look like now to most people, you think?
This is why I brought this question up. I figured you might have insight on it because I don't know. At one point, I would say DSP, but I feel like for $500 or $600, you can get a pretty decent DSP now. So I wouldn't say amps particularly. You can get some decent amps for a decent price. I may lean speakers, I guess, or because you're doing a lot of factory integration. At one point, it may have been your head unit, you know.
Well, okay, so I think you're on the right path. So what the major consensus is of the industry side of things is integration, meaning source unit. What are we
Right,
doing for a source unit? Are we keeping the factory radio? If so, there's different levels of DSP, right? I think we can all understand that some DSPs are just toys. Some are entry level, some are basic but really good. And then
right,
there's the holy shit, that's a lot of stuff inside of a DSP, like this guy right here. Um, an ARC and Hertz, or not Hertz, Electromedia, Jesus, and Helix. Those four in JL. We'll throw JL out there, although they're not the heavy hitter that these guys are, just because they got a cool tool. That doesn't make them a heavy hitter as much as everyone likes to think it does. Um, so that, and even a key lock, believe it or not, a lot of guys, man, you put a key lock in front of a basic DSP, you got a badass DSP now, you know,
right, yeah,
because it's going to do all the heavy lifting for you. So, I got plenty of friends that do that. They're like, dude, I don't bother DEQ shit. I just put key locks in there. It's like, oh, you got an amp pro, or there's no amp pro, there's no AR, there's no access P's, no. Okay, key locks. Just
key
line
lock
them up,
for
put them in.
everybody. Just like
Yeah,
Oprah, a key lock for you, a key lock for you. Yeah,
yeah. And I'm like, dude, the DSP you put in does all that stuff. Like, you can, yeah, but I have to do it, or I can just hit a button and walk away. And I go, oh, okay. You know,
yeah,
no, that Bobby, come on, man. That thing's a piece of crap. Um, so I think because there again, everything starts from the source, right? All your music is coming from the source. Everything you're gonna do is coming from whatever media you're gonna play. Now, if you buy a badass DSP and you're planning on streaming to it from a high res device of some kind or your phone or something like that, you know, you it's still the source unit. So everything else past that is just going to be reaction to whatever the first thing is. So whether you're buying an aftermarket radio, a DSP, an integration DSP, it's the source unit. You have to spend money on that. And one of the things that we're finding out now that we're down the road a bit with Amp Pro is people finally kind of understand what Amp Pro is, but they don't understand what it is they're doing. So, everybody wants an Amp Pro, right? Because like that's the best thing ever. I can just plug it in, I get 6 channels of preamp output. Life is great. The
yeah.
problem is that you're usually putting an Amp Pro in a car that had factory DSP, a JBL system,
Right,
and a Dre, a B, whatever. It all had, and so all that is gone. Like it's all gone now. And if you're just going to put amps in there and speakers, we got guys now, they're coming back on, dude, I put this system in my car and it's loud, but it's just like, I don't know, man, it's missing something. And you're like, well, what did you do? It's like, I bought an Amp Pro and I bought this dude's amplifier and I bought this other, and I got that and I got these speakers and they're like so dope, man. And like everyone online says they're the best. And I'm like, okay. And I go, all right, so what did you do to make it all sound good? Well, I put an Amp Pro in it.
yeah,
Then it's like, okay, I see the problem. You're not taking the next clue to that, which is you're stripping the DSP and you're going back to bass, mid, and treble. Well, bass, mid, and treble really isn't enough because you're used to something different now.
right,
So even a basic DSP at that point that just gives you, yes, I'll go with you on that one, Bobby. At that point, if you even put a Dayton DSP in there, you're going to have better results because you can do something with it.
right. So let me ask you this:
Yep.
Are there? Well, I think. Well, let's start with this. Ghost. I think you're completely in a different lane than what we're talking about, because you're talking about takes power to make power. We're not talking about bass systems. We're talking about just a regular stereo.
Well, I'd be curious. Well, stop yelling for one. Take caps key
Yeah,
off. What would be the top? What would be the top three? Okay, so because prime example of that is um, you give me 1,000 watts,
yeah,
okay, with no equalization at all, none, no bass boost, no nothing. I put it in your car and I turn it on. Your subwoofers aren't going to have any life to them at all. If you build a funky ported box that has some weird rise in it, sure, it'll do something. But if you build the wrong box or you have anything that is out of whack, how are you going to make it sound better? Build a new box?
sounded loud. Sounded make it more power. Sounded louder. That's how
Right.
I think sound better and sound louder are two different things, but to some people, sounding louder is sounding better.
Right, but yeah, oh, for sure. But
Right.
if you have no way to correct for anything that's amiss, even if you build the perfect box, if it doesn't work in the car, you're going to need an EQ to fix it,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
you know? You probably can hide a lot of shitty gear behind a good DSP. You know, uh, it's
Yeah, it's
yeah,
I
yeah.
I here's my question. Have you ran across any factory systems that are just terrible? Like, as far as the signal to an amp?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it's like and a key lock or whatever can only do so much. They can correct the signal.
So a key lock can push plus or minus 12 dB.
Right.
That's it. So, and there's either 10 or 12 bands of adjustment in it. Okay. And by bands, I don't mean like individual bands. It's just like nodes. So
Right.
like there's only so many things it can fix. It can fix and push, and it's all parametric, but it also has the all pass filter. I think it can fix two or three all pass filters. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've memorized the spec. But there's only so much it can do. So I mean, if you have a subwoofer, like we were looking at a sub in a car the other day that's straight up crossed over at 80 hertz, or the mid bass, 80 hertz, man. It's
Yeah.
crossed. It was, but here was the funny part. It was actually we were live. It was on the Chevy Silverado that we had 80 hertz, man, crossover point. But there was a boost for it right before it cuts off. So they boost up the shit out of 80 hertz and then they cut it off like almost 24 dB.
Right.
So it was like, dude, wonder what this thing is going to do, you know? Because like there's no way a key lock is going to fix that.
Right.
It's too much. But so they put so much boost into that thing at 80 hertz that fucking A, it sounded like a ton of bricks, man. It was like, God damn. Like he didn't pay for all this space. Holy shit.
Man,
But
if I got the right sub in there, I'll run it up. I'll run it up kinda high
oh,
just
it it
to cover up
it
for the bass a little bit.
it was a P300, so it wasn't anything spectacular. And those
Right.
things don't need a ton of frequency, or power. It's just 300 watts, so it cheats all the power in the world. And this thing it was insanity, man. I'm like, oh my god, dude, we can't even turn that down any lower. It's too much bass.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I mean, yes, I'm not Steve. I don't need 10,000 watts of power. Um,
right. Well, I would reckon that most systems that you put in are 1,200 watts or less, 1,500 maybe, in that
sure.
range total power.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I mean, I look at it as current draw.
Yeah.
Typically we're not doing anything over 200 amps of current.
Well,
But most of the time it's a multi-channel amplifier
right.
that doesn't it doesn't go crazy because there again we're doing systems for people. They're not parking lot pounders,
Right, and I
which I
think
can
that
appreciate. I enjoy that. It's just not what I want to do.
I would say that how many SQ systems have you built? Because any factory system can handle around 1,000 watts pretty comfortably.
I think so. I think SQ systems. There again, Ghost. I don't know you. I don't know what you
Right.
do. I'm just using the word SQ. I'm taking that out of the sentence that you put up there, only because I think a lot of people get confused now when they talk about SQ. And there again, it goes back to that conversation of what is SQ to you? Now, you don't have to answer this. I'm just merely putting it out as the question because I get tons of guys all the time, customers that come in and go, "Oh, I want to do an SQ build." And you're like, "Oh, cool. What is that comprised of for you?" And then they start saying things, and you're like, "That's not an SQ build." And they're just like, "What?" Like, no, that's not a sound quality build. That's a loudspeaker build, or that's just an average build. That's just a daily driver. That's just a normal system. And
Right.
they're like, "Oh, really?" I go, "Yeah, you've been reading the internet too much, you know,
When
or
I
you."
would say most people that have the same argument as Ghost are they want something loud and clean. Like they've heard systems that were loud and clipping and just sounded bad overall, So they want something that's not SQ. You're not gonna be closing your eyes, but they just want something loud and clean. Uh, that's typically the people I run into that say SQ but have bass systems and haven't really. Now there is some that cross over. There's people that have big bass builds and then also do SQ on the side. Drew's one of them that does
Yeah,
a big bass build and then he has a SQ build on the side there. So most people want loud and clean, is what I would say. Uh, that say SQ, it's just like they're using a
yeah.
terminology that makes people think of an SQ competition vehicle.
I it's funny. If you want to be impressed by an amplifier, like downright go, "Holy shit, there's no way it's supposed to put on this much sound." Buy an Arc Audio Blackbird. Hands down, the most powerful little ass amplifier you will ever find. It will blow your mind. It's insane what that amplifier does for the size that it is, and the fact that I think it draws like 90 amps of current. You know,
Yeah,
but the thing is you got to remember a lot of these amplifiers are doing a form of power shift where they're not. He Hertz or Helix has been doing it for a while. They're capable of monitoring the output channels and how much current they're actually using. Like for example, if you have a set of channels that are powering some tweeters, there's no point in directing that power to those channels
right.
because they're not going to use. They use a watt. Okay,
Yeah, it's nothing.
so you're just wasting energy. So if you have a smart power supply that can take that energy and put it someplace else, because keep in mind that each channel of the amplifier is doing something specific. If you're going out and you're buying, a 700-watt amplifier times 5 or whatever, and then you actively cross it over and then you EQ it, it is no longer that amount of power. It's not doing it. It's not doing any of that.
Right.
So it's just kind of funny that, oh, yeah, I need 900 watts for my
Yeah.
tweeters.
Well,
Okay.
that's like on my setup, which is currently a three-way. I could get, I have the JBL, which is only 25 watts by 8. It's fine for the tweeters, fine for the mid-range. I really need more power for the door speakers. That's where I need the power.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You know,
And so that's what the idea behind the smarter power supplies is. Like when you look at a Helix V8, they talk about that. And it's like, I need more power going to my mid bass than I need going to my tweeters. If we can reroute that power to them so that they're getting more of the energy than the tweeters are. I mean, we could also just do this with a bunch of two-channel amplifiers and turning things down and stuff. But still, it's still not the most efficient way to do it. So if we're smart and we can find an efficient way to do these things, which they have in these amplifiers, like the Helix V8 or the Blackbird, you're paying for that technology. Okay, you're paying for these amplifiers, and if you're ever at a sound competition and Brian Mitchell is there, raise your hand and sit inside of his pickup truck. You will be like, holy fuck.
and
You
the
know,
Blackbird's quite powerful for how small it is.
like 110 by 8.
Yeah, it's no slouch.
It's this big.
It's as big as the JBL. It's thinner even this way.
Yeah,
Wider maybe a
I've
little
never
bit.
compared the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have them both, but I've never like. Yeah. I'm a Focal guy. So it's funny. It's so one of my Focal guys that I was talking to this weekend. It seems that a lot of Focal guys are Focal and Arc guys. Like I know a
Oh
bunch of my Focal friends that I've made over the years, and it's like, what else do you sell? Arc. Oh, okay, never mind. And it's like, all right,
yeah,
one of our biggest Focal guys. He's also the one of the biggest Arc guys, and he's like, dude, that's my go-to. You know, if I need big AB class amplifiers, I got Moscone. If I need power, small size, badass DSP, it's Arc. I'm like,
right.
okay. Yeah. So
Yeah, the Moscone ones. That Moscone makes some small ones too, but they also make giant, old school reminiscent Class
yeah.
AB. What
It
it's even a Class A bias. I think the one is it's a
which one?
the zero.
Oh yeah. Well, the new 430, the new Pro 430 has the circuit that they built for that is quite unique. We had Nick on to talk about it because it was just so they call it's like he calls it like a slide technology. So at normal listening levels, the bias slides over into A, and so channels 1 and 2 are very A orientated. But then as you rail on it, it slides the bias over because of current consumption, so it slides it back towards more AB. Um, and it's like, okay,
Yeah, it
but
makes sense.
it's when we had so like on the ground zero amplifiers, the uranium and whatever's above that, those all have variable bias. So like when we were talking to Doug and we were looking at his car, he's like, yeah, I just turned the bias up on all of them. And you turn those things up, they become room heaters, man. Holy shit.
Yeah,
The new Ultra is the same way. So the new Ultra, which is their big 2-channel or whatever, 35, 4,000, 5 million, I don't know what the fuck it is, big 2-channel that they make. Basically two discrete amplifiers underneath one heatsink. Well, the knob is cool because the knob is like an old school TV knob where it has two platters so that nothing actually touches. So they're not even sharing plastics. There's just a pole. That's the only commonality in the whole amplifier is the pole that holds the two knobs that turn or plates that turn, and it has variable bias also. So, and it's old school because it's like click, 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 because they knew they were going to have to do clicking as opposed to, yeah, and the gain works the same way. It's very interesting. Bought Kappa Perfect 900s, but wouldn't fit in the door, so I cut tweeter from 6x9. Why didn't resistance of speaker change after unplugging tweeter? Because the voltmeter has a hard time reading capacitance. It's not made to do that, so it just negates it just can't read through to see the tweeter. So it isn't until the power is applied that the amplifier actually sees all that. But still, with the capacitor there,
right.
we used to refer to that as fooling the amplifier. So we would load these freaking amplifiers down and then put a bunch of capacitors on the tweeters and then be like, boop, 2 ohm, we're good. And then just
Yeah,
because there again, things like tweeters really don't draw a lot of power from the amplifier, so they're not as crucial. They're not harmful or hurtful, or it sucks either way.
right. So if someone came in and said, "I want the Dean system," what's and say it's in a F-150, like what's the system Dean's picking?
See, that's the thing. I don't ever do that. I
Yeah,
don't ever do the Dean system because you're not Dean.
yeah,
You're hi-fi. So even if you came in, we would have a conversation. Hey man, tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me what you like. Tell me what kind of music you listen to. What's your favorite song? How old are you? How is your hearing? Can you hear on the left and right ear? You know, this a whole conversation we have because it doesn't matter what I like.
right.
It's not for me. And the money I'm getting ready to take from you, it's your money, man. You got to be happy, not me. So now, basically, what that means is that I'm going to be the conduit there again. Like there's no salesman anymore, so I have to pretend like I'm a salesman. And so we have to have the conversation of what are we looking to do, and then we go to the wall and we start looking at products that will get you to what I like to call the dream system. And I tell everyone, we're going to build you the dream system. Whether that's what you're going to end up with doesn't matter, but everything I'm asking you and everything you're telling me, I'm taking that information and I'm building a picture of what you want that audio to sound like in your car. You might not be able to afford that, you know. And sometimes I'll know that up front. I'll know that going in. They'll be like, "Hey man, I got this amount of money." I'll be like, "Perfect. We don't have to waste a lot of time." Or they'll be like, "Dude, sky's the limit." And the fucking sky is falling.
Right, exactly. It turned out the ceiling was the limit.
Yeah, it's like turns out you were thinking $1,200, and it's like, oh, easy there, big guy.
Right, exactly.
How often do you have to argue with people who want to drop 1,500 on speakers but don't want to spend 200 on sound treatment? We don't give you the option. That's we don't break up in a. Yeah, he doesn't give him a choice. Exactly. We don't. The thing of it is there's so when we're designing a system, there are there's certain things that are gimmies. Like I'm not going to walk up and like I don't have a $1,500 set of speakers on the board right now. So if you come up, I'm not going to go check these out. They're $1,500. It's not important how much they cost. You like the way they sound? Yeah, I like the way they sound. Okay, you know. And if you've got $10,000 worth of wheels and tires on your car and it's jacked up to the kingdom come, chances are good you're going to be able to afford those. Now, if you roll up and your car's 15 years old, we're not even going to talk about those. I'm going to introduce you to something that I'm pretty sure you're going to be more interested in because, there again, every now and again, the guy that has a 20-year-old car will gladly spend $10,000. But the reality is he doesn't want to. And I don't want him to because I don't want to get this stuff in his car and then he decides he wants to get rid of it in 3 months. And then I got to take it out and then he gets something different and it doesn't work in that. It's like, I don't want to do that. You
Yeah.
know, that's not fun for anybody.
When I think people have to think about it, especially if you're a DIYer, about your situation versus anybody else's, because you're selling these to people and you need to be happy with them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a difference. There's 100% a difference. I mean, that's the 5-star channel. It's us trying to get you to understand that like these are real people at the end of this. This isn't me doing my system. This isn't
Right.
me talking about, hey, look what I just found. This is what we do for a living. This is 33 years of getting up every fucking morning for 33 years and going to a shop and putting stereos in a car. There's probably no one in the comments that's going to say, "Oh yeah, I do that."
No.
No, they're and there again, there's some that may and they suck at what they do. I can't help that.
Right.
you know, and there again, I'm not the best at what I do. I don't ever claim to be. This is what I do, and my philosophy is that if I'm going to do something, I'm going to try to do it to the best of my ability. And today's best of my ability is going to be this. Now, tomorrow, if I learn something new or I come across a new technique or something new comes out or we learn something, then tomorrow the best of my ability might be better than it
Yeah.
was today. And so I'm gonna always evolve. That's the cool thing is like I look back, 1990, the summer of 1990 when I walked into the car stereo shop and got my first job. That guy is totally different than this guy.
Yeah.
you know and what was important to him back then is totally different than now, and the industry is different, so there's a lot of things that have changed, some good, some bad, but it's still different. Get out now, Stu. Get out. Run.
Yeah. What's
you
it's
know
it's like me and my day job. I don't want to be just someone that slides by. I want to
no,
be the best I can. I want to be the best. That's not always possible. I play golf. But I realize there's a limit to how good I can be at golf.
right, yeah,
So I
yeah,
want to be the best I can be at golf,
correct,
not
right, yeah,
Tiger
yeah,
Woods. Like there's a scale. So at work, I'm trying to be Tiger Woods because like I've been there a while. I've done it. I'm trying
right,
to be Tiger
right,
Woods. On the golf course, I'm trying to be just better than my buddies. You know,
or better than you were yesterday,
better than
right,
you were yesterday at work as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's funny, Bobby. Even doing a deck plus 4 now, like, don't get me wrong, that still comes in. We still do those things. But and I laugh because, like, for example, we'll get a car, we'll get a 2002, 2003 car, or like Jesus, we had that Ford Contour or whatever the hell it was a couple
Yeah.
weeks back, the 98, and it was funny as shit because it's like, dude, I worked on those cars when they were new,
Yeah.
and the techniques that we did back then are nothing like the techniques that we do now. I would have never pulled the interior out of that car to put a stereo in this thing. I would have never done that.
Yeah.
Now it's not even a thought. That shit's coming out, bro. There's no airbags. Pfft, pull those seats, bro. I don't want to fight with these things. You
Yeah.
know, better tools, better technology. We know more. We know a lot more. And so we apply that. I mean, those are the things that I get to go do when I do trainings. It's like, hey, Dean's going to talk to you about this, or Dean's going to talk to you about that. Just the techniques have evolved so much. And it's always frustrating when, you're talking to somebody and they're like arguing over what kind of high level, low level adapter they should use. And you're going, are you fucking kidding me? That's where your brain is at. Oh my God. Just
Yeah.
fucking go away. Go work for McDonald's. Make your $15 an hour. There's nothing wrong with that, man. Be the best goddamn fry cook there is, man. Peanut oil all the way. I don't care. Just get out of this fucking industry.
Listen, the ones I love that are asked, people that ask you your opinion on something and then argue with you about your opinion. Like, I didn't offer you my opinion. You asked me for it. I said nothing. You asked me for it. Now you're arguing with me. What is wrong with you?
Well, so luckily with age comes wisdom, you hope, right?
Yeah.
If a manufacturer asks me an opinion, my opinion, there again, age and wisdom. It's whether they get it or not is dependent on case by case. Like some manufacturers be, what do you think about this? And I'm like, what do you want me to tell you? No, what do you think? No. Do you want me to tell you, does it sound good? Was this a good idea? Did you fuck up? What do you want me to tell you? Because in my mind, there's a thousand answers to this question, you know. And so I don't want to piss anybody off but I'm going to. But what is it you're looking to hear? Are you looking for affirmation that you guys did a great job? Because you're not going to get that. Or you are going to get that, this is fucking awesome. This is, like every now and then, manufacturer hits it out of the park. You're like, dude, I just want to let you guys know this is fucking great. You guys killed it for me. They'll be like, oh, cool. And other times you look at them and go, I don't know what the fuck you guys were thinking. Did you guys even ask anybody if we needed this?
Yeah. Answer's always no.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I got in it with a manufacturer recently. They were like, what do you think? How does it sound? I go, know exactly how it's going to sound. I don't need to listen to it. Oh, no, come on, get in, listen to it. I'm like, I don't want to listen to it. Why? Because I know what it's going to sound like. Yeah, you don't know what it's going to sound like. I go, oh, really? They said, fine, no problem. I'll get in, listen to it, got out. So what do you think? I told you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter at all what I think. Well, we want to know. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because it's not the answer you're looking for. And everyone's happy right now. So let's just go with that. You guys fucked up. And they're just like, what? Well, yeah, you fucked up. But everyone's fine with it. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't matter what I think. That guy over there likes it. That guy over there likes it. That guy likes it. Those guys are the ones that matter, not me.
Right.
Because I ain't ever buying this shit.
Those guys. If you're selling them, then hey, it worked out. So what's the matter?
Yeah. When mounting tweeters in the dash, do you angle them some and add rings, sound insulation to focus sound out from behind the grills? If so, what do you use? That's a great question because you got to be real careful with that. We've found in some cases, yeah, like some cases we don't necessarily, we'll try to angle them the same way the manufacturer had them, like the car company had them. And sometimes we don't because we found that they fucked up when they angled them that way and it just sounded like crap. But putting foam around them sometimes actually hurts them more than helps them because they get trapped behind. A lot of times with tweeters, they use really small grills, okay, little tiny holes. And then you put a grill on your tweeter, so now you have double grills. That's why if you've ever seen the videos, we often remove the manufacturer's grill off of it. Like the little metal grill will pull that off, so it's the tweeter. Because every time you put something in front of it, it changes the way it's going to sound. So if we can pull that metal grill off, we're pulling it off. But sometimes on a tweeter, if you make it so tight, um, it actually causes some weird distortions in the tweeter, just because that pressure coming back on the tweeter makes the cone that doesn't move much make some weird sounds. So we've laxed up on getting super crazy about, oh, is it airtight? No, because we need somewhere for sometimes that air to go, so the tweeter doesn't distort from the grill itself. So, but yeah, that's the answer to that
I mean, that's a
question.
good tip because I suspect most people put some kind of foam in between especially we're doing a sail panel where it already had a
Yeah,
tweeter, and you don't even think I don't even think about that because so rarely do installs that I'll have two grills, but
right.
without even thinking about it.
So what we try to do now a lot of the times is actually put something behind the back of the tweeter. So not so much worry about where it's coming through the hole, but the
Right,
area behind the tweeter, we'll try to put some foam over that just to kind of keep that from, if there's any energy coming too far behind it,
right,
and starting to like maybe seep up around the glass or come off of the A pillar, or I'm sorry, the sail panel. So we'll put stuff behind the tweeter now to limit any back distortion from coming off of it. So kind of like the big piece of foam that you put in your door panel from a fast
right.
ring, we kind of
Yeah.
do the same thing for the tweeter now. Instead of worrying about everything in front of it, we kind of start worried about everything in back of it. So yeah, so that's what we do. Also, what kind of foam? Um, it's gonna vary. See, a lot of the times the foam that we get it like Kenwood gives you 5,000 bags of foam with their speakers, and we save all that stuff. That's like gold. So
Yeah.
like the thicker foam, even though it's made by Tessa, the same company that makes tape, it's hard to find it in the open or in the wild. So, anytime we get extra foam, or it's the wrong foam for what we're doing, because we use the like when we're insulating a speaker, we'll use different foam, and if they give us foam, we'll keep it for other things. But so the thin 16th inch foam that we use, we also sometimes will use the foam off of the sound treatment. So the Stinger Ultimate has a foam back.
Right.
So sometimes we'll put that in the area behind the tweeter, foam side towards the tweeter. So we'll put it into into like the A pillar or into the back behind the tweeter, just as something to absorb stuff. But you can buy regular, like thin foam or 1/8 inch foam panels off of
Yeah.
Amazon, 12 by 12 foam panels, which are kind of cool.
Is it the closed cell phone?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. With EVs becoming more prominent, will they be able to do high fidelity speakers with the same superior efficiency of factory drivers? Um, so so here's the problem, right? There's always a problem. And there again, this is just strictly my thought on this, right? Because that's what you're asking. And factory uses small magnets. They don't sound that good, but they're super efficient. And sometimes they sound okay. But as soon as you apply power to them, because that's always going to be the problem, right? It's never loud enough. It's never loud enough. It's never loud enough. So we have to make them louder. So if we want to make them louder, that means we got to put a bigger magnet on them, which means they're always going to be less efficient. So, coming out with a better sounding speaker for like just swapping out speakers, I don't know if, like, we'll see that at some point, because there'll be something like a Pioneer or a or like Electromedia will make like a DJ or an Uno or whatever the hell it is, or it'll be like these super efficient small magnet speakers that sound real tinny, right? Because that's usually what you can get out of that, is just a tinny sound.
Yeah.
Um, we'll probably see that in a couple of years. I mean, we have it now. We just don't have them specific for Teslas, or EVs for that matter. So, but the complaint is always the same. It's not loud enough. So that will always have to be more power, bigger magnet structures, bigger, heavier materials. that can handle more power. Now, a case study in this was Kenwood, right? So Kenwood came out with that cool speaker that you bought with the gold piece in the front.
Right. Yeah.
That was, oh my God, it was a fantastic, amazing component speaker. Super efficient, so much so that it didn't even really come with any crossover because they just used the natural, they designed
Oh,
it
yeah.
to use natural roll off. And it was gorgeous. Oh my God. But what did it handle? 35 watts?
I think it was rated 35 watts, and that thing played up to like
Oh
720
yeah.
or
It was
7,500.
crazy. It was strictly a European speaker. Like there's no need for it over here.
It was a dope speaker
Oh, I know.
though.
We still got 4 pairs of them if anybody wants them. I always thought about buying some for myself just because they're so
Yeah,
pretty, but I'm like, I will never put them in anything. And I was like, well, maybe I'll make a set of bookshelves,
there you go.
you know? But yeah, but nobody bought them. Nobody would buy them because they handle 35 watts. And
Right.
so even though their amplifier was only putting out 35 watts, nobody bought them. It was like it was dead the minute they came out. They were like, I don't want them. And it was
Right.
like, so there again, we bought 4 5 years ago. We still have 4 brand new in a box sitting on the
Yeah,
bottom shelf in the Kenwood stack,
man.
you know. And
What's
we
that?
and they were expensive.
Oh yeah, they were like $600 set or something like
Yeah,
that.
they were expensive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what they go for. I'm sure call Paul, he'll give you a great deal on them.
Yeah.
But my point is that, you know, the mentality has to change because for the guys that are like, we did that amp dyno for that MM Mats amp the other day, right? Or M
Mhm.
Mats or Mats or whatever the fuck you want to call it. I really don't care. And I went back and I looked at all the comments. It's an amp that's this big.
Right.
It's $450. It's not a bad build, I guess. I don't know. But Bassheads just laid that thing to rest, man. Just set it on fire. It's crap. It's not doing, exactly what it's supposed to do. And
Right.
I'm just like,
Wait, you guys
okay,
typically test it at lower than 14. You do 13.8 typically, don't you? Is that what you
even
did on that?
yeah, I don't remember what that one ended up being. It didn't matter, because everyone just lit it up, and they're like, in the comments you can just see everyone just like, I can get, a JP, whatever.
Right.
Not picking on JP, they're just like, I can get
Or
this JP
10 amps
amp.
or a Sound Digital,
Yeah,
whatever.
insert brand here,
Right.
and it's like for this amount of money. So why would I buy this piece of crap? And it's like, okay, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Now the guy that rolls in and says, "Give me a kicker key," which is a 200 watt by 4 amplifier that's 50 watts by 4, and you put it in his car, and he goes, "Holy fuck, that's insane!" The
Right.
amplifier's this big, and you're going, now that mentality will work moving forward in EV, but not everyone's there yet.
Right.
You know, even the Moscone Picos, the 8 to 10 Pico. They make an 8 to 10 Pico 24 volt that'll go into a Tesla. They have a T harness and everything, plug and play, ready to go. Who's buying it? You would think it would just be gangbusters. Like people would want that thing. Like, God, give me that. Like, it's the right
Yeah.
amount of voltage. It's this big. It's a 10 channel DSP. It's got staggered power. It's everything everybody talks about wanting, but nobody's buying it because it's this big.
Right. Well,
So,
and I was like the Tesla systems I've heard. I haven't heard them at volume, like high volume, but I think they sound pretty good for a factory system.
oh
Just
yeah, shit,
you know,
dude. The upmixing they do in those things,
yeah.
shit. I was sitting with my buddy. She came by and she's like, "Dude, I got a Tesla," and I go, "Why?" She's like, "Oh, it's so fast." I go, "Yeah, but it looks like shit." Like, yay. And if you have a Tesla, it's okay, man. I just don't like them.
Right.
And it's not like I'm an EV hater. I just don't like the way the car looks, you know. But yeah, I think now she's got a Porsche, so she realized it was ugly too. But I sat in the car and I was like, damn, like you got this speaker. So it's like perfect for this guy. It's perfect for that guy.
Mhm.
It's fucking staged great for it's staged in front of you
Yeah.
as opposed to, him here, him there. So it was above the counter, above the glove box.
Right.
But there's a high tweeter just for me and a high tweeter just for them, and it sounded really good. And I was like, damn. But I know from experience, most people don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
That's why that 14 channel unleash system that comes with speakers in the headrest, speakers
Mhm.
in the overhead, three-way, center channel. They think it sounds like
Lifetime
dog
supply
shit.
of Mountain Dew, vape juice cartridges. Um,
No, just like the guy that we just did, dude. He got in the car, no shit. He started crying.
really?
Oh, for fuck's sake. He even goes to me, dude. Have you ever had anyone start crying while they're listening in their stereo? And I said yes because I didn't want him to feel bad.
Yeah.
But he was just blown away. And it was like, okay, it's all good, you know.
Right.
But he was happy he got what he paid for and he
Yeah.
loved it,
There you
you
go.
know. And that's the goal. That is always the goal.
Well, that's like Cassie's car. If you're listening to it at low to medium volumes, it sounds pretty good. When you start to turn it up, is
Now,
where it starts to fall apart.
how did he make his thing green?
Oh, Baba chose the member. Okay,
Wow.
YouTube member.
Wow,
Custom colors.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Baba. You gotta turn it on, bro. Turn it on. Turn it on the 5-star channel.
Huh.
You can put they can also do it's not gonna show up here because it's not, but you can use custom emojis. I don't have my other chat open,
Hmm.
but you can do your own custom emojis and stuff like that.
Okay. Didn't
Yeah,
know.
CA certified. There you go.
Have you seen that piece of wire that we have? I saved it just for you. That I talk about every now and then in like an Instagram where it's
You told me. I don't think I've seen it though.
yeah, it's so cool. It's great. The CCA is so awesome. How much power will my tweeters draw and what to cross them over at? Continuous 75 watts RMS, 91 efficiency. So what you really need, the number that's missing there is the FS of the tweeter. So the FS of the tweeter and the type of tweeter that it is going to dictate what you should cross it over at. So if you have an actual crossover that will do 24 dB link with Riley, you take the FS and you multiply it by 2 and then kind of round up. So like if you get a crazy number like 3127, round it up to 3200. 34 is usually pretty safe. Now if you only have 12 dB, then you probably want to go a little bit higher, something like maybe 5000, just to be safe so you don't roast the fucking tweeter. But there again, you know, the 2.2 microfarad capacitor, the 3.3 microfarad capacitor seems to be the standard now for tweeter crossovers. That's just all anybody uses anymore because tweeters are small and can't handle tons of power and or lower frequencies. Back in my day, we used to use 4.7 microfarad caps, but we also had giant freaking tweeters. You know, now everyone's just like blast.
Or you can get the Morel. Don't they? Doesn't Morel have 1-inch voice coils on a pair of tweeters? Or am
Mm-hmm.
I tripping? Yeah,
Yeah, no, they do.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
have, and then they'll have like 5-inch voice coils on their mid range and stuff. So they,
So it's 3 is the biggest on the mid range.
yeah.
Usually they're like 2.2
Am I
or
thinking mid
2.1.
bass then? Do they
The
have a 5-inch?
subwoofer is 5.1.
Is it okay?
Yeah. The tweeters, but the tweeters also have an SF of like 860 or
Right.
680. It's one of those like ridiculous numbers. Like
Which is why I love. That's why I love Morel tweeters
you
versus
do
vocal.
have to be real. So you do have to be really careful trying to
Yeah,
get it is harder to get that to sound better because there's so much sound coming from it
right.
that it's like it's very challenging sometimes to get that to stage properly, but once you get it, it's fantastic. But
Yeah.
you know, vocal is real easy. 5000 hertz,
Right.
done. Call it a day. 24 dB at 5000. Pardon me, rock on. Of course, now we have the new tweeter, the new frac tweeter that just came out, which is different and lower crossover points.
Right. Well, that's why I like the Morel because I could cross them over at 2,500 hertz, no problem.
Yeah.
I mean, there's quite a few you can do 2,500 hertz now, but it's not as many as you would think.
And there again, it depends on what you're trying to do.
Right. Yeah.
And if you have a really good mid-range, high frequency mid-range, you're doing a three-way set, then it kind of becomes a moot point. Let the mid-range play up,
Okay.
they'll do a better job.
Yeah. Yeah. If you got a mid range in the mix, yeah, you can go crazy with the tweeter. Get that 40 kilohertz high res going. Your dog can hear it.
In my day, we didn't have GPS to find our way.
Yeah.
We attached a lantern to a horse saddle. Dude, man,
Oh,
there's something to be said about having a map.
there is. MapQuest though, not so much.
No.
Let me type in. I got to find our side jag here. I forgot to pull it up so we can share it.
Okay.
But what I will say is, I worked with a guy that his heater core went out. So
Yeah.
how do you think he defrosted his windows?
With a torch? Hair dryer.
No, he lit candles.
Oh, on his dash?
He put candles on his dash to get to work.
Okay.
I mean, it's not.
It's not the
out
worst
of
idea.
bounds.
No, it's stupid as shit, but okay.
I mean, it works.
Yeah, it totally works. But I mean, at that point, why not just put a wood burning oven in the passenger seat?
Exactly. Yeah.
I
Yeah. Just
mean,
get the heater core fixed, guys. Moral of the story.
wood burning oven, passenger seat, call it a day.
Jester at the end. Appreciate you, man. With that being said,
Audi 5000.
it's time to side jag.
See ya.
Click on the link. We'll see you there. All 5 of you, I expect you to be there.